Yo, what is up, guys? What is poppin'? We are back on Pokemon Showdown with ITL Week 7, I think it is. We are facing our good friend Sebby VGC, aka coach of the Montreal Monfernos, a guy who has had our number in the past. He won 4 straight matches against us before we finally got to beat him again in NPL this season. And now we are playing for the ITL as well. And that is gonna be definitely gonna be a great game. We played yesterday, so it's pretty fresh. Most memories in my mind. I should be able to remember most plays, but it was a really good battle. Kind of hexy, sadly, but a really good one in terms of predictions and 50-50s that went either way. Very interesting game, and definitely one of the tougher matchups I had all season. Besides maybe the one versus Gypsy King, even though I felt like the matchup wasn't too bad in the end, even though like I got lucky not to get like 4-0 or 5-0. But Sebby here is a very threatening squad. I think he headed into this game 3-3, which is not really the level of play he's used to. He's way better than his record might imply. Like he's usually a top contender in the ITL. He always makes playoffs basically. He's in the league for now 4 seasons, I think. Yeah, I think so. Made the finals once, won season 4, made it to the playoffs in season 5. Was kind of unlucky there in the first round, and now he's like back um, to pull off another playoff run. So definitely gonna be interesting. Sebby has a squad with Sand, as you see, Sand, which is like his like one of his favorite playstyles. Sand offense plus a bunch of bulky mons. Potentially, he has the Mega Audino, which is pretty heat. He has Volcarona, Hooper, and Mount. Both are potential Z mons and Z move users, and both are potential like potential sweepers that can like just 6-0 my team. Like a Trick Room Hooper could be super annoying to face. Quiver Dance Volcarona could be like, if I don't play around correctly, it would be like, um, yeah, it could easily sweep my entire team, which is pretty rough. Like I can't switch in too well into those two, even though like I have my answers to Hooper, thanks to the speed on my squad basically. Like Hooper is base 80, but I have a lot of monsters that outspeed it, as you see. Like I have Torn-T and Hydreigon both who pack the U-turn to potentially like Okoi and Hooper and Bound. I have a Hitmonlee which always outspeeds. I have a Mamoswine that potentially speed us, but I bring Adamant this week because Adamant Mamoswine is Bay, it's the way to go. And yeah, like my team is fast enough to deal with Hooper potentially, but definitely like it's still a big threat because if it comes in on Alamomola or Tapu Fini, I have to like basically choose a sack every time unless I predict correctly. It also brings the Crobat, which I really expected to come. I like was sure he would bring Hippo, Excadrill, Volk, Hooper, and Crobat because it's his only answer to my Mega Venusaur basically. Mega Venusaur just shuts down his entire team, bar Hooper basically, and bar potential Hurricane Volcarona or Psychic Volcarona. But it's like Venusaur is really good versus um, a balance or bulky approach on Sebby's side because like Sebby, I know he loves to bring bulky stuff and like Venusaur like just shits on his wall call. Like it beats Hippowdon, it beats Audino, it beats Jellicent, which he has, it beats the Gorgeist that he has. Like and Crobat had to come for this. But the team I built is a speedy, bulky Hydreigon with the Chople Berry, max HP, enough speed for a mon that speed creeps Mamoswine. I think I have 147 speed. I have Rock Slide, U-turn, Dark Pulse, and Roost. I can basically take any one hit from Hooper and then U-turn out or potentially Roost up if I predict him to switch out. I have a bulky Alumomola with Waterfall, Knockoff, Wish, and Protect. I felt like Knockoff would come in way more handy because, like Toxic, he can easily heal that off with Audino. Potentially have some other switches like the Crobat that you could use as a pivot. And I felt like Knockoff could come really handy versus stuff like, for example, the Jellicent. Tapu Fini is my default this week with Taunt, Nature's Madness, and Surf. I felt like I needed one pretty solid Taunter versus him to shut down his more bulky stuff like Jellicent, Hippowdon, Mega Audino. Tapu Fini checks all of those really well and potentially also like prevents Crobat from defaulting if it switches in on a taunt, for example. Tornado D here is an assault vest variant. I really want to bring Life Up because Life Up just shits on his team with the red coverage, but I needed to switch into Volcarona and AV Torn is the only mon that can basically do it. I have enough speed for what was his next fastest mon? I think a 110 mon or something. I don't remember his entire team, but I think for Heliolisk, I think, yeah. And I have Hurricane, U-turn, knockoff, and Superpower, I think, because Superpower has a chance to Oko drill after rock, so actually does do it. No, I've Smackdown. Smackdown, Hurricane, U-turn, and knockoff, I think. Or maybe Superpower over knockoff, potentially. Yeah, I think so. I think I have Superpower over knockoff, and then Smackdown, obviously, for the Volcarona. Hurricane will do more, unless he's like boosted with Prividence, in which case Smackdown can just like put it down to 20% potentially or 25%, in which case I can easily revenge it. U-turn is just nice for momentum, obviously, to kill the Hooper. Hitmonlee is a banded variant. Sebby actually didn't know that I made free agency transactions, but Hitmonlee didn't like it didn't change the fact that I had didn't change the battle that I had Hitmonlee on the spot because it didn't hit the field until the game was decided basically. So thankfully it didn't matter at all that he didn't know. But yeah, it's a banded variant with high jump kick, mark punch, knockoff, and stone edge. Mark punch is just great to pick off potentially drill in the sand, hooper if it's weakened, as well as a shell smash Oma star which he has. I probably can't click high jump kick mindlessly because Audino like can protect and he had two ghosts, both of which he didn't bring, which is nice. But he also has a Crobat and a Volcarona who resist jump kick. Volcarona obviously would take like over 50% even if it's a max HP variant, but I gotta be careful around everything because like I can't really bring it in too safely on anything, so Hitmonlee will be tough to play this game. And obviously I have an Adamant Life of Mamoswine here with Earthquake, Ice Crash, Ice Shot, and Stealth Rock. So let's start this game. I lead off with my Tapu Fini here because I felt like I can taunt the bulkier stuff and like Audino and Hippowdon. And if he leads with stuff like Hooper, he's forced to T-Bolt potentially because the Moonblast would do quite a factor to it, and I can like just go safe into my Dragon. And if he leads off with Volcarona, he's basically forced to either Quiver Dance or Giga Drain, in which case I can bring in my Tornadus pretty safely. So overall, Tapu Fini is solid lead. I see my opponent leads off with the Excalibur, which kind of tells me that this is his Rocker over Hippowdon, which could make sense because Hippowdon kind of suffers from full moveset syndrome because like Earthquake, Stealth Rock, Slack Off, and then Roar is basically what he needs. And if he doesn't have the Stone Edge, I can always switch in my Levitating Mons on this thing. And if he like doesn't have Roar, I can abuse this thing as setup for the. So I felt like it would make sense to have Rocks on Drill, which is solid for me. I can just fire off Nature's Madness, knowing that Sebby likes to play it safe, especially in the early game, and like he wouldn't risk one of his win cons potentially in this game should he ever get rid of Momola. Mist Train goes up, which is also nice for me, and my opponent goes into Crobat, which is cool. Sadly, because of Nature's Madness, I can't tell what kind of investment he has. He could still be like max HP, or he could still be an offensive Crobat with Black Sludge, but we will try to figure out that later. I have a very free switch into my Mamoswine because I know Bravebird wouldn't do too much, and like I figured he would go for Roost here, trying to keep his Crobat healthy because Crobat actually is can be crucial to revenge a Hitmonlee, for example, or to like revenge kill a Tornadus T, which otherwise would be the fastest mon on the field outside of Drill in the sand. So I figured Mamoswine was a safe switch, but he actually goes for the Super Fag, which kind of sucks. But I can always Wish Pass later potentially on, for example, the Ordinary. So I go for my Rocks here. Sebby makes a smart play and goes into Volcarona. I didn't want to go for Earthquake here because had he gone into Audino, I would have just lost a lot of momentum because Audino choose Earthquakes from Adam and Life or Members when if it's physically defensive. Like a Mega Audino, once it's Mega Evolved, takes like 37% from a from an Earthquake from what is called from Mamoswine, which is crazy. Like Adamant Life or Mamoswine hits insanely hard. 2 kills like the powder with Ice Crash easily, but Audino just choose, so it's wild. I mean, goes into Volcarona, I go into my Tornadus T, knowing that I can take any one hit, and he fires off a Fire Blast, hits, and he does 64%, which tells me his specs, which is a very smart set because like it's easier for him to break down my core with specs instead of quiver dance, because if he quivers up, I can always bring taunt in on the quiver dance, and then like he's forced to attack and I can like just smack down him, or he's forced to switch out and doesn't gain anything by quiver dancing up. So specs makes a lot of sense. I'm very smart prep on my opponent's part here. But I have a free U-turn here. I could potentially go for the Hurricane to try and knock it out, but I felt like Sebby wouldn't risk Volcarona, which actually is fantastic versus my wall core. He wouldn't risk it after like 4 turns, so I figured U-turn was my safe play. Knowing that he was locked into Fire Blast, I could have just gone into Feeny anyway, which I will do now, as he sends out his Audino, so Audino gets kind of chipped, but if he switches out, obviously he will get Regenerator back, which is kind of sad. But I will go for Taunting, preventing him from wishing up, and if he goes into Crobat, I prevent him basically from defogging or roosting up. I think I go for just for a no, I switch out. I thought I would like maybe switch out, but he goes for the Brave Bird on my Alomomola, revealing that he is an invested Crobat. Does a lot of damage to my Alomomola actually, which uninvested Crobat would not have done. I think I pull a double out here into my Tapu Fini, knowing that he is more inclined to switch back in his Audino. I will go for another taunt here. Trying to like catch the Crobat again on the switch and force him to like take the rocks, which and not be able to roost up. But he goes into his drill, which tells me he wants his rocks gone, which I completely understand. Like with Tapu Fini basically always coming in for free on Audino and Hippowdon, and those two basically being his wall core, his best switches to most of my attackers. I always have a free taunt which prevents Crobat from roosting up, and Crobat is like, as I said, he needs his kind of for taunt based to revenge it potentially later in the game. And yeah, now he's kind of forced to spin, obviously, which I will take as an opportunity to just fire off the Surf. It's the safest play. And I actually get a crit on the Surf. Surf would have done 90 max, so he definitely would have lived the hit at like 10% or so. But obviously his drill would have been weakened, and I would have never allowed him to Wish Pass for free into Excadrill. So yes, it does matter because he loses a sack potentially, and he loses a potential Revenger for one of my mons, but basically, the only chances he could have come in were on a weakened Finny, on a weakened Aloe, in which case I can just protect it, Lefty's back, get Regenerator back. He could have revenged Hydra and Tornadus T with Inside of Sand, but then again I would have had the easy switches into Alomomola, so Exeter probably wasn't doing too much at 10% 10% of its HP, so I don't think the crit mattered too much. But obviously I've been a pretty lucky guy this season. Yeah, I won't deny that. So crit definitely helpful. She goes back into Crobat. I will taunt it knowing that he goes for Roost. Then I will go for a Nature's Madness, I think, on the next turn. Or will I switch out? I don't know. No, I pretty like I don't care about the Super Fang. Can always Wish Pass potentially. I want to keep this Crobat low. I don't know what I do now, but we will see. Crobot, like, figured he would potentially switch out, but I go into my Aloe just to, like, potentially wish up my Finny so it can 1v1 the 1v1 the Crobot. And like Hooper coming in was a very smart play. I was never going for Moonblast if I had it, and he could have taken a Surf easily on Nature's Madness here. Hooper doesn't really care about its HP stat unless it's a Life Orb variant. And with Alomomola, I really wanted to protect in case he's a Z-move variant or a choice lock variant, both all of which make sense with me. But I felt like if he's a Trick Room variant or a Nasty Plot variant, I would have, or even a substitute variant, I would have been in lots of trouble if he, like if he sets up on my Protect. So I go hard into my Hydreigon as my opponent makes a sick prediction, goes for the Signal Beam. Like looking at team preview, the switch I had to I was looking to be Hydreigon. He makes a very smart play, goes for the Signal Beam. I don't really know why he had Signal Beam on the Super. Because he told me also had Focus Blast, and then like Signal Beam doesn't really hit anything on my squad that Focus Blast hits. But definitely works out because I actually had a Cobra Berry and another Cobra Berry, a Shovel Berry, and Signal Beam actually does more in this case. And now we have like a big 50-50. If I go for U-turn, I knock out the Super, but if he switches out and I go for U-turn, I basically only can use my Hydreigon as fodder because I don't roost up on anything besides the Hippo, and even then, like Hippo can raw me out or potentially toxic me or like slack off, and I lose a lot of momentum. So I figured the Roost was my best play. I don't think he would stay in and risk me being faster, which I actually am. So I decided to go for Roost, and my opponent thankfully switches out. And this turn took quite a while. Like, it wasn't like a 5-second turn or anything. We both thought about our play, but I felt like Roost was the safest option for me. And I know I can U-turn out. I can now still take a Focus Blast if I get a roll in my favor. Focus Blast does 67 max, and I'm at like close to 65, so I can now U-turn out and potentially take a hit from Hooper again. He goes for Yawn with the Mega Audino, which is interesting because Tapu Fini was, I showed that Tapu Fini was my switch into this thing all the time, and going for Yawn is pretty interesting because Mist Terrain obviously will prevent me from going to sleep. But I have another free taunt here, I think. I wanted to go for Nature's Madness, but I figured play it safe. I can still play around his threats potentially and go from there. So now Hooper is in, and because I haven't revealed my last move yet, I basically know that he has to go for the Thunderbolt here, which is good for me. I can like just go into my Hydreigon, take the T-Ball like a champ, chip this Hooper down with the Life of Damage, which is nice. Now it's guaranteed to die to a U-turn, as I will go for a U-turn as my opponent switches into the Volcarona and gets the burn on my U-turn with the Flame Body, which is unfortunate, but obviously a 30% chance or 20% chance it's gonna happen eventually. But it's kind of sad because now I can't Oko Hooper with the U-turn, and I can't Oko this thing on the switch potentially with the Rockstar. But I can go into my Tornadus, and I actually go for a U-turn here. Sebby is like, he's a player that rarely risks stuff to go down to an over prediction, but in this turn, like, he makes a very smart play and stays in and fires off a Giga Drain, I think, as I switch out into my Alamomola. I know that I can take potentially a Giga Drain if he switches out and like get Protect off, get Regenerator back. It's not too big of a deal. I can just Protect on this turn and go back into my Tornadus. But a very smart play on him, getting the momentum back. A very, very good prediction there. Pretty risky, but yeah, I wasn't like always I wasn't risking the Hurricane too much of the time. So very smart play, gets health back with his Volt. And I go for another U-turn here, I think, or do I go for a Hurricane? No, I go for a Hurricane this time. I didn't have the balls to go for a U-turn this time again. But yeah, things are going well for Sebby, but now he takes damage with the Crowbat and he actually gets confused with the Hurricane. I use this as an opportunity to go for a U-turn, I think, because him being confused, the only play he has basically is going for Roost. Like, if he attacks me, I will 100% revenge him because U-turn does 5 to 8% or so to this Crobat. And I feel like if he doesn't Roost up, he goes down either way. Either if he hits me with the Brave Bird, or I hit him with the U-turn, or he hits himself in confusion, which would be pretty bad. So I know he's going for Roost, which means I will go for the U-turn. He gets the health back with the Roost, breaks through the confusion. Now I go back into my Mamoswine, and I will go for rocks this time. I feel like I need the rocks up with Excadrill being down. I know that rocks, like that he doesn't have defog on anything. I'm pretty sure, like I don't think he has defog Robot plus Rapid Spin Excadrill, but yeah, we don't know for sure. But I will go for my rocks this turn. I have a chance to live a Brave Bird. It's like a roll in his favor, but not much. Like I think I have if he's max HP, if he's max attack, the roll is slightly in his favor, but only like 55% of the time he will kill me. So I will risk this, banking on to potentially switch out, but he hits himself in confusion, which is rough. He had a chance to knock me out there, and it didn't work out for him. So that's kind of annoying. Now I make a power play, kind of predicting him to save his Crowbat this time because it still can revenge potentially Hitmonlee as well as the Tornadus. And we'll go for the Earthquake here as Hippowdon switches in. Hippowdon is 2-hit KO'd by Earthquake plus Ice Crash all the time, but I get a crit here on the Earthquake, and I can like fire off an Ice Crash here. And he actually is Yachiberry, so if I didn't get the crit there and hit him with the regular Earthquake, he potentially would have lived the Ice Crash afterwards. I mean, I think he definitely would have lived the Ice Crash afterwards. And yeah, that's unfortunate for him. Hippowdon wasn't doing too much, obviously, and I really didn't need my Mamoswine anymore. Yes, I potentially needed to revenge the Crobat, but I have enough firepower and bulk on my team to beat Crobat. with all the monsters I have, because Alamola always wish passes from Crobat into stuff like Tapu Fini, which can taunt and then fire off Nature's Madness plus Surfs to potentially 3-hit KOs. I think Nature's Madness into 2 Surfs beats Crobat from full, which is nice. So you can bring in his thingy here, and he misses the Fire Blast. Doesn't really matter too much. I don't need health on my Taunt. I know he is forced to stay in anyway now, and I will knock him out with the Smackdown on his next one. So even if he gets off the 67%, I live, and I can U-turn out on whatever wants to come in next. So that's fine with me. Crobats comes in back. Like, I don't really have a reason not to stay and go for U-turn. He actually goes for Brave Bird instead of roosting up. Had I U-turn, I could have gone into my Mammoth and fire off an Ice Shot, and then like bring in Alomomola or Tapu Fini on the Audino. Now I can go back into my Fini here with the U-turn on his Audino, preventing him from wishing up or anything. Just goes for Dazzling Gleam at first, and obviously the crit with the Crobat Brave Bird basically made up for the miss Fire Blast. Like, he did more damage by getting the crit Brave Bird instead of like going for the instead of hitting the Fire Blast. So that works out. Yes, he could have gotten 1 differential point more, but that's basically it. Playoffs shouldn't come down to differential. I doubt they will do so. Let's hope it doesn't happen. I go for Nature's Madness here, predicting him to go for an attack this time instead of like trying to wish up on my taunt. Now we'll go for the taunt just in case he wants to do some stuff. I have no reason to play for the for differential again. Just go for another Nature's Madness and then fire off a Surf. I thankfully hit all my Nature's Madnesses here. He goes for Dazzling Gleam. Once again gets a crit that does matter because now he can actually 2-KO me with the Dazzling Gleam, but it doesn't matter. Like, I was never playing 46-0 anyway, and Hoopa would have gotten the kill on Tapu Fini on next turn. Now I can go my Hitmonlee and just clean up with Bandit Mark Punch. Goes for Protect with his Audino. Doesn't really matter, obviously. Just maybe wants to see if I want to lock myself into Scarfire Jump Kick and then maybe go for the double Protect. But I just go for the Mark Punch. It won't be enough to Oko Hoopa from this range, but he can't Oko me either with the Hyperspace Fury. So it is gonna be GG. It is Aki, and we will take the 5-0 win over Sebby. Kind of lucky, but I figured in the end I probably would have won without the Hex, but definitely it definitely was like was gonna be a closer game if he like kills my Mamoswine, for example, with the Crobat. If he what was it? I think if he like had his Excadrill as a sack potentially, or as a mon that can spin away rocks later, like it definitely would have been a closer game. But in the end, I think Alomomola plus Tapu Fini were always coming through as long as I keep Torn healthy as well, to always revenge kill a Hoopa unbound. So yeah, I wasn't like I wasn't. I don't think the Hex mattered too much. I think I was winning this game most of the time, but obviously hindsight is always 20/20, and we don't actually know how it would have gone without the Hex. Sebby was a very good sport about the Hex. He didn't really seem to mind. He said he enjoyed the battle as much as I did, so that's cool. I'm sure he will bounce back and make playoffs this season. He's 3-4 now, which isn't too good for him, but I'm pretty sure he will win a bunch of games in the upcoming weeks. We still have 6 weeks left, and and like his divisional opponent will still have to play Gypsy King, for example, which basically is a guaranteed loss. One of them has to play me, which, by the way, my luck is going this season. Should be interesting as well. Should be a tough match for him. So Sebby definitely has a chance to make playoffs. I improved to 7-0, which is hype. I think I need just one more game to clinch playoffs because my division is so bad, which is super hype. One or two more wins should clinch playoffs. I think one is enough, but 2 would guarantee me a playoff spot, so that's cool. Next week we are facing Nova Hawk and the Chicago Grambolts. He actually took over for Zamrock, as well as Matty Brawlick. You remember probably me playing Matty Brawlick in week 2, where he took over Zamrock's team, and after that I found another replacement. I just like took it as a chance to play Matty in the format, and that was hype, but that should be an interesting game as well. I'm trying to improve to 8-0. I never had an undefeated season, and it's too early to talk about it, but definitely would be hype. So We'll see how that goes. But yeah, now we are 7-0 and in a very commanding spot in our conference, playing pretty well, prepping really well, and that's pretty hype. So thank you guys for watching. Leave a like and a comment if you did. Definitely go check out Sebby. He goes by Sebby VGC or just Sebby on YouTube and Sebby VGC on Twitter, I think. Definitely go check him out. He's a cool guy and one of my longest friends in the community. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I catch you in the next video. See ya.